Happy Vlogmas, book friends. I'm Jen and welcome back to my holiday reading life. I'm doing something a little bit different today. I don't know about you, but I love Christmas movies during the holiday season. It is one of my favorite things to do during the holidays, to curl up under a blanket with a big bowl of popcorn and just enjoy a festive movie experience. And I have so many favorite Christmas movies, and I thought rather than just sharing a movie, I would pair up a book and a movie that I think go well together, that in some way complement one another or have a similar tone or feel to them, so that if you enjoy one, I think you will enjoy the other. I have a very large mug of tea in one of my favorite Christmas mugs. Isn't this fantastic? It's almost as big as my head. I'm going to take a very large sip of this, and then let's get into the holiday book and movie pairings. I will say up front that not all of the books that I have paired with these holiday movies are holiday books in and of themselves, but I do think they capture the same tone and feeling of the movies that I have paired them with. I'm going to start us off with one of my very, very favorite holiday movies, and I watch this every single year. It's just the best, and that is While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman. If you've never seen this, absolutely watch it this holiday season. It is so charming and wonderful, and is basically the story of Sandra Bullock, her character. She works as like a token collector on the L train in Chicago. And there's this man that she sees all the time who's very good looking and always dressed really well, and she sort of has a bit of a crush on him. And then he comes to the station, which is very deserted on Christmas, and he gets mugged by two teen boys and pushed onto the tracks and knocked unconscious, and she rescues him. And then when he's taken to the hospital, she is mistaken for his fiance, and his family welcomes her in, and Bill Pullman plays his brother, and we go from there. One of the best romantic comedies. And this is basically the story of two people who fall in love because of their connection to another person, and it's fantastic. And the book that I have paired to go with this movie is one that in my review of this on Goodreads, I said this was a French version of While You Were Sleeping, hence why I'm pairing it with While You Were Sleeping, and that is Antoine Lorrain's The Red Notebook. This is such a wonderfully charming book about a man who finds a woman's purse abandoned. He's trying to find out who she is, so he's looking through the bag, and there isn't any identification, but there is a red notebook where this woman has written down observations, notes to herself, reminders, all kinds of things. It's clearly a notebook she keeps with her, and so he starts learning about her through this notebook. And we go on this journey with him to find this woman, and there is sort of a medium between he and this woman, like in While You Were Sleeping, where we have the brother who's in a coma. We have this red notebook, which is allowing these two characters to get to know one another. I found this utterly unputdownable. It is such a delightful little read. I think it would make for perfect reading after you watch While You Were Sleeping, or read this and then watch While You Were Sleeping. I can't wait to reread this one. This book is just a very favorite of mine. I absolutely adored it, and I think you might too, especially if you like While You Were Sleeping. Next up is a classic Christmas movie, and again, one of my favorites that I watch every single holiday season, and that is, of course, Irving Berlin's White Christmas. I think most of us know the story of White Christmas. It is just so lovely, charming, full of wonderful music. It has Danny Kaye and Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney and Vera Ellen, and there's singing, there's dancing, there's romance, there's misunderstandings, there is just so much charm, and it is so beautifully filmed, and the costumes are amazing. I just love this movie. I'm sure a lot of you do as well. And my Book that I'm pairing with this one may seem a little bit offbeat, but bear with me, okay, while we go through this. I'm going to pair The Best Christmas Pageant Ever by Barbara Robinson with White Christmas. Really, because these are both the stories of putting on a show at the holiday season. And there are shenanigans and, like I said, misunderstandings and funny things that happen. And while they are very different, and of course this is a children's book and White Christmas is not a children's movie per se, but I think something about them just goes together. And this whole idea of putting on a holiday show, I think if you enjoy White Christmas, give The Best Christmas Pageant Ever a read. It is just charming and wonderful. And it's about this family of kids who are not very good kids. Nobody wants them involved in this pageant, and yet they get themselves involved in it, and you just have to read to find out what happens. It's lovely, and I think these two make great reading and watching companions. My next movie selection may not seem like a Christmas movie, but let me explain why it is part of this list. And that is because this is a movie that when I was growing up, my mom watched this movie every holiday season. And it's got some lovely scenes set at the holidays in it. And it is such a fun movie. And if you've never seen it, it is well worth a watch. And that is Desk Set with Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. And in this, Katharine Hepburn plays a reference librarian. And basically this was like the 1950s version of the internet, where you could call up this reference library, ask any question you wanted, and they would find the answer for you. And so they work in this office. There are tons of bookshelves full of reference materials for them to use, and they're just merrily going about their business. And then Spencer Tracy comes in, and he is an efficiency expert, and he is going to modernize their reference library and bring in this big like computer to answer all the questions and make their work more efficient. So rather than going to these books and things, they can use this computer. And obviously Katharine Hepburn's character not thrilled about this. And so she and Spencer Tracy butt heads a little bit. But of course, underneath it all, you know what's going to happen, right? And it does. But this is such a fun movie, and it is Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy at their very best, and I think you should watch it if you've never seen it. And I paired actually two books that you could potentially read when you watch Desk Set, either before or after. Both of them have to do with the workplace, because the workplace plays such an essential part of Desk Set. So my first recommendation is Business as Usual by Jane Oliver and Anne Stafford. And this is about a young woman who decides to go and spend a year working in London after she has graduated from school. Before she gets married, she is engaged, and she goes to work for a department store, and she writes letters home and to her fiance and friends, telling all about her life in London. And we follow along with all of the antics that happen while she's working at this department store. So much fun, so very clever. This would be a great pick for Epistolary January if you need something to read. So you could watch Desk Set this holiday season and then read this for Epistolary January. That would be a lovely little pairing. I love this book so much. And then my next recommendation would be to read Dear Mrs. Bird by A.J. Pierce. Again, we have a lot of the action taking place in the workplace, this time at a magazine, and we have our young protagonist, Emmy Lake. She wants to be a journalist. She gets a job basically working for an Agony Aunt column at this magazine, and we kind of follow along. It's set in London in World War II, and so it's got a little bit of a different vibe than Desk Set, and there are some more dramatic things. There's a little bit of heartbreak in this one, but overall, this is such a lovely, lovely read. And I think either of these books would go wonderfully to read alongside Desk Set. Next up is another classic, quintessential Christmas movie, and I just watched this the other night, and oh, I love this one so much. It's another one I watch every holiday season, and that is, whoops, the original Miracle on 34th Street. Ugh, this is such a good movie. I love it. I just think it completely embodies the spirit of Christmas, and I actually talked about the first book I'm recommending to go with this, which is basically the book of the movie, in my 12 Cozy Books of Christmas video. So if you want to hear a little bit more about the book, Miracle on 34th Street by Valentine Davies, please head over to that video. I will link it here in the cards and in the description box below. But this is obviously the perfect companion for this movie. But I have one other choice for you if you don't want to read Miracle on 34th Street, or you've already read it and you'd like to read something else. Then the book that I recommend reading alongside Miracle on 34th Street is The Vanderbeekers of 141st Street by Karina Jan Glaser. This is the story of the Vanderbeeker family, and they are losing their lease on their apartment. Their landlord is kicking them out during the Christmas season, and they are hoping for a Christmas miracle, for a way for them to stay in their apartment building. And we follow along with what the Vanderbeeker children get up to try and make that happen. And again, I just think this is another book that sort of embodies the spirit of Christmas, which is why I think it makes for a great read alongside Miracle on 34th Street. So if you want those same warm holiday feelings, definitely give this book a read. Also, I do want to thank my lovely friend Jen, who sent me this copy of The Vanderbeekers. I read this a number of years ago, and I've been wanting to reread it, so I wanted to add it to my collection because then there are quite a few other books in this series, and I want to continue on with it. So thank you so much, Jen, for sending this to me. I so appreciate your generosity, and I'm so glad to have this in my home library now. But like I said, I think this makes a perfect companion for Miracle on 34th Street. So if you want that kind of very Christmassy holiday spirit feeling, give these two a watch and a read. Now, I think we can all safely say that A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is part of our cultural lexicon of Christmas and the holidays and the holiday season. And while there are many film versions of A Christmas Carol, and I could have gone in that direction and then given you some read-alongs for that, or just said, read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which I highly recommend doing. It is a fantastic holiday read. I have read it a few times at the holiday season and very much love A Christmas Carol. But I'm going to give you a movie and a book that are Christmas Carol adjacent. Now, for my movie pick, I have selected a fairly new movie. I just watched this last Christmas for the first time, and that is The Man Who Invented Christmas, starring Dan Stevens from, yes, Downton Abbey. And I really enjoyed this. This is basically the story of Charles Dickens writing A Christmas Carol. And so we are following along with him, and he's sort of getting visited by a ghost of some sort, helping him along with writing the story. It's very well done. It's beautifully filmed. If you like A Christmas Carol, definitely give this a watch. It is really a wonderful movie. I very much enjoyed it. And then after you watch that, then I recommend reading The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge by Charlie Lovett. Charlie Lovett is an author I don't often hear talked about anymore, and he writes really wonderful books that are really for bookish people. He has a couple of other books. I will have to share about them in another video, but this one is basically what happens to Scrooge after A Christmas Carol. And I thought this was incredibly well done. It's fairly short. This is a very easy read for the holiday season. And I really loved this the year that I read it. And I'm thinking I need to reread it. I might have to do that next holiday season. So if you haven't watched The Man Who Invented Christmas and or read The Further Adventures of Ebenezer Scrooge, then I think these would make a perfect movie and book pairing for this holiday season. And then my final pick actually isn't a movie. It is an episode of a television series I just mentioned a moment ago. And that is the Christmas episode of Downton Abbey. This is the Christmas special from season 2. I love this episode of Downton Abbey. It is one of my very, very favorite episodes of the entire series. It's so pitch perfect, and the ending is just, it's just the best. If you need a little holiday romance in your life, watch the Christmas special episode of Downton Abbey. So lovely. Matthew and Lady Mary. What else can we say? So wonderful. And then once you have watched the Christmas special episode of Downton Abbey, then I think you should read A Holiday by Gaslight by Mimi Matthews. This is a lovely little novella, and I had been hearing people talk about this book for a couple of years, and I finally read it last holiday season, and I am so glad that I did. Now, if you've read North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell, this story takes its premise from that novel. And so we have our two main characters from two different walks of life. And I really, really enjoyed this. It's a novella, so it is a very short, quick read, perfect for the holiday season. And the one thing that I really loved about this is that it didn't fall back on the romance trope of miscommunication. I sometimes find that makes me anxious when if people would just sit down and have a regular conversation, they would clear up all of the things that have gone wrong between them. And I just feel like, why don't you just sit down in a room together and work this all out? And so it doesn't play into that. It really just is about these two very different people with just two different personalities getting to know each other and kind of getting past that surface persona that we put on, when we meet people we don't know, or we're unsure of ourselves or whatever the case might be. And I think this is a charming romance. And again, it is steeped in the holidays. And so if that is what you need in your holiday reading, definitely read A Holiday by Gaslight and also watch the Christmas special of Downton Abbey because it's just the best. In fact, I may have to go right now and watch it again. And that will wrap up my cozy book and movie pairings for winter evenings. I hope you have found maybe something to watch or something to read, either for this holiday season or else into the new year. I think these books and movies really complement one another, and I would love to hear from you if you watch and read them, if you think so as well. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me about a holiday movie and a book that you would pair with it. It really does get you thinking. I had to think about this one for quite a while before I really honed in on exactly the books that I thought went well with these movies. And I think it's fun to pair up a book, not the book that a movie is based on, but just a book that has a similar tone and feeling. Because sometimes I watch a movie and I just want to keep the feeling of that movie close to me. And I think reading these books will help you do that if you like to keep that feeling close as well after you watch a lovely movie. And if you're here but you don't have anything you'd like to add in the comments, but you want to let me know you were here because comments really do help my channel, why don't you leave a movie and a book emoji? So leave one of each down in the comments below. I love seeing those and knowing you were here. And like I said, it really does help my channel out, as do likes and now also hypes. So if you wanted to hit either or both of those buttons, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're enjoying all of the content that I'm putting out for Vlogmas, I would love if you would subscribe and stick around. I have a lot more holiday content coming your way up until Christmas Eve, December 24th. And of course, after Christmas, I will be back to my regular filming schedule, and you can find me here every Tuesday and every Friday. And I would love to have you join my cozy bookish community. Thank you all so much for being here, for all of your lovely comments and conversations all about books and the holiday season. I have been enjoying that so very much. Please know that I see and read every single one of your comments, and I am trying to respond to as many as I can, but if I can't get to you, please know that I see you and I appreciate those thoughts you are sharing with me. And as always for Vlogmas, I will be back with another video tomorrow. I will see you then, and until then, happy holidays and happy reading. Bye!